Joining us now is defense attorney, Harvard law professor, and author of many books, Alan Dershowitz. Alan, what do you say to Chuck Grassley's comment that he wants McCabe removed from his job?
Well, I think that the administration is entitled to have a fair process going forward. And I do think that Mueller is playing into the hands of the Trump team. He's made every mistake that arrogant prosecutors make in ordinary cases, because he's handling this like an ordinary case instead of like a case in which the President of the United States is being targeted. He picked the wrong personnel for the investigation. Too many of them were Hillary Clinton supporters, some of whom tweeted and messaged things that seemed to show the possibility of a bias. He then failed to get a search warrant for thousands and thousands of emails that are in a questionable status. They come from the transition team, which is partly public, partly private, may contain some privileged information. I don't think the director of the FBI is the core of this problem. I think it's Mueller, and I don't think Mueller has a partisan bias personally. He's just handled this investigation in a very, very sloppy fashion, allowing the other side to make points, both political and legal.
Michael Balboni is here, Alan.
Yeah, Alan, when you conduct an investigation, to your point, don't you think that they would have gone through the backgrounds of the individuals who would be doing this investigation and asked, well, does anybody have a particular bias that could be picked apart? Because, again, to your point, this is an investigation of the President of the United States. There is no higher profile investigation ever.
And, you know, you never want to ask people about their political affiliations when they're being hired as prosecutors. That would actually violate the rules of the Justice Department. But when you're investigating the President, you ask them, is there anything in your background that might create a perception of bias? And certainly the FBI investigator who had sent those messages should have come forward when he was put on the team and said, oh, by the way, you might want to see these messages before you make a final decision to put me on the team. So much of the blame lies at his feet, but also I think Mueller is responsible for not having disclosed earlier that he had transitioned struck to a different to another part of the Justice Department from the investigation. There's a lot of fault to go around, but when you're investigating the President, you have to be Caesar's wife. You have to be above reproach, because remember, half of the judges in America are Republicans, and they're going to come to this process a little differently than perhaps some Democrats will, and the American public is divided, and you have to give the American public the ability to believe that the investigation is fair, and you can't do it when you make the kinds of mistakes that I think the Mueller investigation has been making from the very beginning.
Alan, the McCabe testimony isn't just the only big news from the Mueller investigation. Now we're finding out 2016 Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein is being investigated for possible collusion with Russia. What do you make of this development?
I have to tell you, anything you say about Jill Stein, I believe. She hates America. She hates any kind of liberal democracy. She hates the Democratic Party and Democrats. Of course, needless to say, she hates Republicans. Look, it sounds like a stretch, but it certainly ought to be looked into. Look, I've said from the very beginning, a special counsel is the wrong way to get to this problem, and so is congressional investigations, which can be partisan. What was needed from the beginning, instead of a special counsel, was the appointment of an independent commission, a nonpartisan commission like 9/11, to look into the whole issue of the Russian influence on American elections, past, present, and future, in order to stop it in its tracks and tell the American people and Congress what it needs to know to make sure that Russia never again tries to in any way intrude on an American election, whether they succeeded or didn't in the last election.
Well,
and I think the evidence of that is very unclear.
So there's Russian interference, but now with the Peter Strzok emails and his involvement in the Hillary Clinton investigation, his subsequent being a member on the Mueller team, you have Bruce Orr and his wife working for Fusion GPS, helping to put together that discredited Trump dossier funded by the Democrats and put together by the Russians. The question is, How are you going to get to the root of that? That seems to be a separate investigation. I was talking to Jason Chaffetz, and he said that, well, you do have the Inspector General's report that's being put together by Michael Horowitz, which should be done sometime in the spring, but to reveal what was going on with all this bias and behind-the-scenes shenanigans. But what could come out of that? Like, I think Americans just want answers, and they want truth.
I think that's right. I think that's right, which is why a commission was warranted. Look, Russia wins whenever they can discredit the American election, the American justice system, and the end result of this special counsel investigation with all of the perceptions of bias is that many Americans, there were some polls that recently show most Americans don't trust the Mueller investigation, they don't trust the electoral system, they have a tremendous amount of distrust. When that happens, our enemies win. That's why we need a nonpartisan commission to set this right for the future. And a nonpartisan group looking into it, not trying to get partisan advantage out of every mistake that occurs or legal advantage, but we made a mistake. We gave it to special counsel, so the investigation is being conducted behind closed doors. Grand jury, we're never going to know what they found other than did they indict or didn't they indict, and there's going to be all of these suspicions. Everything has to be transparent, out in the open, and as nonpartisan as possible.
Well, I think that Michael, I want you to get in here, but the trust level has disappeared in part because they see some Americans see a Michael Flynn getting indicted for lying to the FBI or lying to federal investigators, but then a Cheryl Mills didn't get indicted for essentially doing the same thing, or Huma Abedin didn't get indicted. So they don't see a level playing field.
Well, but the same thing, you know, to go to your point about process, Alan, you wrote a piece where you talked about the fact that Trump doesn't have to fire Mueller, that they basically can go after him and say, you know, we discredit his whole investigation because of the things you point out, the sloppiness of the investigation. And so he's really trying to throw a doubt into the whole issue of whether or not this investigation is legitimate.
Yeah.
What kind of impact is that going to have?
Look, I'm not taking sides on this. I'm just being an analyst with 50 years of experience in this. I think that some in the Trump team are playing the refs, which is what you do in basketball and baseball. You scream and yell at the umpire, and then maybe you get the next call in your favor. By calling out all of these problems in the Mueller investigation and knowing that Mueller wants his reputation to remain intact, the purpose may be, or at least the effect may be, to have Mueller lean over backwards and make sure that in close calls he doesn't go against the president because the perceived bias against him by some people in the investigation. That may be what's going on. It may be to the advantage of the Trump administration not to fire Mueller, because that would be a political disaster, but to keep the pressure on to make sure that Mueller calls them straight when it comes time to make important and close call decisions.
Alan, I think all of this just illustrates that why Trump got elected in the first place, because the American people view all these individuals down in Washington as, you know, swamp creatures. Or I said sewage.
Well, I voted for Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump. I'm not here to make a political point in favor of Donald Trump. I'm here to make points about the legal system and how it's so important for the integrity of the legal system to be maintained and the public trust in the legal system to be maintained. And I don't think Mueller is passing that test at the moment.
That's why we love your analysis, Alan. Great to see you, Alan Dershowitz. Very happy holidays to you.